Hi, hello, namaste, and welcome to another exciting episode of Logistics Pe Charcha. I am Prajakta Karnik, editor, Logistics Outlook magazine, and today we have with us a very young and dynamic leader, Mr. Kunal Maheshwari. Kunal is the Chief Growth Officer and Director at Softlink Global. Welcome, Kunal, to our studio.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, to just begin with, I would like to understand about Softlink Global, and also you're the second generation entrepreneur in this. What actually motivated you to get into this industry? You come from the finance background.
Right. Very honestly, right from I think my grade 10, I was told that by my father, who's the CEO of the company, Mr. Kunal Maheshwari, I was told that this is my company, this is whatever I'm doing is mine. You need to go out there and build your own blue ocean. None of this is yours. I was like, okay, fine. If that's the case, then I have to, build my own journey. So then after graduating, I started working for an investment bank. Almost for 3 years, I was into finance. And finance sometimes can bore you out or it can burn you out much rather. These are long days. And if you're just 22, 23, you have all your friends going out there, meeting every second day, but you are still in the office. So finance jobs burn you out. I left that, then I started a startup which was into food tech, completely different from what I was doing because I was passionate about healthy food, and this is almost about 2016 or 17. So I started that with a friend, just co-founded that, and within a year's time I realized that, boss, this is a specialized field. I need the right people to be there. I cannot do it on my own. So then I sold a majority stake in that, made some good money out of that startup. And then I took almost a 1 month break and I went to Singapore to explore what's happening from the fintech side. Least I knew I would be pulled into logistics. All right. So then once I came back, there was an opportunity. I saw a gap where the exporters, especially in India, were managing their operations very manually, through Excels and through Word documents, creating their commercial invoices and packing list. So I saw a gap there. And then I was not an engineer. I was from a finance background, but the knack of finding a gap is what an entrepreneur is known for. So then I designed a software which is called Export Pro, which was predominantly focused for exporters, helping them to create their commercial invoices and packing list. And then we connected it to one of the Softlink product, which was doing the custom clearance. So every exporter was working with some logistics service provider. Did that for almost about 1.5 years. That company still exists. And then suddenly, my father has a very funny way of making things happen very subtly. So then one day he comes to me and he's like, Acha, you're doing so well for your company. Why don't you think of coming on board?
Okay.
And that's how subtly he started, giving some responsibilities to me, because he also knows that if he asks me now, I'll be like, Arey, pehle to, at first you did not want me. Now I do want. So he had a very subtle way of bringing me in. And then I think about in 2020 end, I joined him, and there's not been looking back. I've been a very, very integral part of our growth. Softlink Global, to describe you, we are a pure tech company. We are one of the few product-focused tech companies operating in the logistics industry. We do not focus in any of the industry, anything else. We simply focus on the logistics and the supply chain industry. We've been in the business for last 34 years. So my father started this company in 1992. Those days, he used to code and he used to sell by himself. But now we are almost about 300 people as a strength. We have 6 offices globally around the world. Our flagship software, Logicis, which is an intelligent ERP system for freight forwarders, has been implemented in about 42 countries. We serve almost about 5,000 logistics service providers across the world. And fun fact, and at any moment, we have more than 1 million plus users at a minute logged into our system. So the growth has been great, but of course, we are still in a very high growth phase. I don't think so. We've scratched the surface, but there's a lot of opportunities out there, and that is exactly what we're doing. So working towards making life of freight forwarders easier through whatever technology softwares we come up with, whatever things we develop. The aim is to make their lives easier. Already they are in a very challenging industry.
Obviously, when your dad was doing that business, somewhere or the other he must have told you about how the industry is. Have you seen that change over the period? What sort of learnings that you gained from that time and then implemented something right now?
That's the funny part. He's not a guy who would make you come and sit and explain you things. Okay, he'll be like, you're in now. You go and figure it out on your own. So, and to be very fair, the industry is such you cannot just learn by one person's perspective. And he knew that. So what I did as soon as I joined Softlink was I went out, and especially India, because India itself is not just one country, it's like so many different world within one country. So what I did was I went out and I tried to meet each and every of our customers. And very honestly, the customers taught me the industry, because every customer I met was specializing in something else, had different pain points, had a different expertise, had a different perspective towards the industry. So there was a time in 2021 where out of 7 days in the week, 5 days I used to be on the road, and I still do. Every day I was meeting at least 2 of our customers, and they taught me the industry. And I got so much perspective from every corner of India. And then of course, then I did that same thing for my customers outside India as well. And honestly, they taught me the industry. And today as well, on an average, I meet about 50 to 60 freight forwarders in a week, be it at network conferences, be it at some industry event, be it at conventions. Let me tell you, every person has a different way of looking at this industry. And because we sit at a very neutral position, the knowledge and the amount of information which we gain becomes very important for us to bring the new things within our system as well, or start thinking how the industry is going to shape up towards the future. So I would give credit to my customers in teaching me the industry.
Absolutely. I mean, the ocean is vast, and there are many fishes also, and you need to understand when you dive into it.
Exactly.
Okay, you mentioned about the pain points. So what are the pain points right now that the industry is going through? Because we're seeing a lot of geopolitical developments. A lot is happening.
That's absolutely right. You never know which side of the bed Mr. Trump will wake up and put tariffs on which countries. But yeah, that's how the world we live in right now. There are geopolitical issues. There are socio-economic issues. Some economies are doing well. Some economies are not doing well. There are demand supply issues. But at the same time, what a logistic company has to do is be resilient. These are the cycles which are going to come and go. And the beauty about this industry is that the cycles don't last forever. They might, the shortest might last for 15 days, the longest might last for, let's say, 2 months or 3 months. It's really interesting to see how these cycles come up and go down. But on the pain point front, very honestly, there are many, just like how any other industry might have different challenges, even the logistics industry has many challenges. To point out probably the 3, the first one being manpower. Okay, logistic companies in India globally are growing, but are they being supplied by the right talent, by the right kind of manpower, which is important for the industry, trained manpower, as they say? And very honestly, the scenario has changed for the good, because 5 years back, 6 years back, I was not hearing about MBA courses or BBA courses of supply chain. Now I am hearing certified courses. We ourselves have our own Logicis certification program being offered in multiple universities. Our application has been identified by many supply chain universities to be taught as a subject. So now what has happened is the pain point, which is still there, it's not completely out. The pain point of the right manpower available is still there. So that is one of the biggest concern for the industry. If the teams are growing, then they need people as well.
Absolutely.
Second is, I would say, probably the documentation data entry pain points. This industry is still very paper heavy, even though we are talking about digitalization and all the new AI automations coming into the picture. But you cannot discount the fact that this industry still remains very, very human dependent, which makes it more data entry prone. So that is another pain point, and we work closely with our customers in identifying these pain points and how I can automate and make the data entry automation also reliable. Logistic companies are in compliance business, especially the custom brokers, the freight forwarders. I cannot automate the data entry and make sure that there's no compliance followed. I also have to make sure that the compliance is being followed. So that is another big pain point for the industry. And third, as I said, you also mentioned the ever-changing, geopolitical scenarios. Which country is putting which tariff? You don't know. What country has been importing certain things, and suddenly you have a tariff on that. You never know. So I think the life of a logistician or a freight forwarder is already tough. We are just trying to make it easier on the operations side.
Get back on that point when you mentioned that you got into this business of logistics in 2020. So since then, have you seen the changes in the industry? Because that was the time when actually we saw COVID hitting, very badly. How has that change been till 2025? I mean, obviously, even on the technology front, there has been a lot of change. For the freight forwarders, for the technology solutions provider, how has that change been?
The biggest change which I've seen is freight forwarding companies have become very aggressive. Okay. The times which I've heard from my father, I was not part of that industry, but the times which I've heard from my father, especially between 2015 to 20, or let's say 2010 to 2020, they used to be happy with whatever business they are getting, and they used to be dependent on the good cycles for generating more business. Okay. Over the years, since last 4 years or 5 years, with the kind of customers also we've onboarded, we are seeing a very, very aggressive approach, be it hiring more salespeople, be it participating in different networks so that they can build a very strong agent network. So one of the most important thing which has happened is these companies have become aggressive and they are happy to invest money, or let me put it in this way, put the money where the mouth is. So their decision making when it comes to technology adoption has been aggressive. Their decision making when it comes to hiring sales team has been aggressive, going after newer markets. So I'm seeing, because everyone in India, everyone outside India wants to do business with India. Look at the way how our manufacturing has built up over the years. Every government is pressuring global companies to come into their state and open a factory, starting with Tesla, or for that matter, MG Motors, or any pharmaceutical companies, global pharmaceutical companies. So they are also being aggressive. So everyone wants to work with India. And if our logistics companies wouldn't have got aggressive, then there is always a space for any MNC player to take that up. So that's the change which I'm seeing. These freight forwarders are giving a very, very stiff competition to these MNC companies, and which is great for the business, and great for the end customer after all.
But there is still, though we talk about, for a few companies going digitally, growing in that space, but there are a lot of companies which still believe in the traditional format, though they are adopting technology, but not as it is required. I mean, the scale that the business is growing,
right,
they're not going to that extent. So how is that, are they still surviving? Rather, we are seeing them survive. How is it difficult to convince those clients when it comes to making them understand how important the technology is?
See, what you need to understand that even these companies are going through a transition. Even their second generation is coming into the picture. My associations, my father's associations were with their fathers, and my association is with the second gen. And let me tell you, the second gen is not wasting time, in bringing in change. Just like I am also, I am also not wasting time to bring in change. And so are my peers who might be my customers or my associates or of the industry. These second gen who are coming in with an aim to bring in the change. So the good part is that their families have created a very sustainable business. So they have good customers on their side. They already have good volumes on their side. But what I'm seeing with the second gen is that they're not, holding back. They want more. They want to go out there, fetch more business. And that is where the transition is happening. And that is where even I'm seeing the change in traditional companies who are trying to become modern. Like of course, I cannot take names, but I have companies working with us till 3 years back, they were completely on paper, on Excels, on spreadsheets and everything. Today, they are leveraging on BI tools, business intelligence tools. Logibrain is one of our a very advanced business analytical tool. They want that. They're craving for that. They're telling me, Kunal, I don't want to go back to spreadsheets. I just want to open my app and I want to see what is the status of my business in one go, in one glance. And that is where they are transitioning. So the traditional companies who were they had amazing processes, but their mindset was, okay, they used to look at the expense. I mean, they used to look at technology as an expense.
Correct.
What has changed is the second gen which has come in is looking at technology as an investment for the next 10 years to come or the 20 years to come. So I'm not saying that every traditional company has transformed, but the willingness to transform is there, and that is what it should be. At least you should be mentally prepared that, okay, I know what is wrong, I know where I need to go, and I'm ready to transform.
Also, you mentioned about expense, and that is one of the major concerns, the logistics cost.
Right.
We have been talking about the magical number of 8 to 9%, bringing down from 14%.
Right.
So how is technology actually helping freight forwarders to cope with that kind of cost?
If you see the statistics, every statistics has a way of looking things.
Right.
I was attending a panel discussion where Mr. Shantanuji was one of the moderator, and he said that it depends on the person how he looks at the statistics, and anything can be proven. Statistics is that beautiful tool, so that statement stuck with me. And to give you an example, which I was saying at the start, one of the biggest cost is the human cost which comes into the logistics. So automation can very well help in bringing down or at least optimizing the manpower cost. So it has to start at every front. It cannot be simply that you try to bring every cost down. To again elaborate on my example, tracking. Okay, now every bits and pieces represent the logistics cost. Okay,
Right.
so as I said, manpower is one of the biggest contributor to that logistics cost. Now, every traditional company who are manually tracking every shipment or every container are cumulatively wasting at least 1 hour or 1.5 hours, not at one go, but collectively, progressively over the 30 days of the journey of, let's say, an ocean export shipment. Now that 1.5 hour through beautiful integrations can be down to zero. No human time will be wasted in tracking these containers or for that matter any shipment, and the customer will be notified automatically whenever any milestone is changing for this shipment. So this is an example of how collectively through technology the cost, at least some portions of the cost, I'm not saying that the technology can bring down all the cost, but at least some portions if you've identified can help you to optimize the cost. And I think every company is moving in that direction. But to be very honest, there is no thumb rule of how to bring that cost down. From statistics A, you can say it is 18%. From statistics B, you can say, oh, it's 15%. It's to the viewer how he wants to analyze. But yes, technology going into the future will play one of the key roles. I'm not saying it's the only role, but one of the key roles in making sure that we are able to bring the overall logistics cost down.
You mentioned about, in our conversation, you have been making this point very clear of the manpower challenge. India being a country with, the highest population, there is a debate whether automation will, actually do away with the manpower that we require. Do you think it will coexist, or, it's a threat for the manpower?
No, see, AI is a friend. Okay, it's not a foe. AI will help you to quadruple your output. Today, to give an example, the scale which we are operating on, I might have had the need of 500, 600 people, but I don't need that much amount of people because I have certain AI tools which can help me to optimize my manpower hiring.
Right.
I am not saying that AI is gonna replace humans. No, that is just that's a clickbait statement. It's something to just attract eyeballs. That's never gonna happen. AI is going to make that human more efficient.
Mhm.
There are a lot of tasks which you can depend on the AI and make sure that this person who was doing this task is redeployed somewhere else.
Correct.
So I would say it will be optimizing the resource allocation, not necessarily making people lose their jobs. But hey, at the same time, people need to evolve as well. If I have an option of two people to hire, if one person knows AI, uses tools like ChatGPT versus a person who doesn't even know what ChatGPT is, I will definitely hire a person who knows ChatGPT because at least he's aware, and to be very honest, it's not making him lazy. It's just making sure that he knows how to use his mind better. He can quadruple his output or she can quadruple the output. So it is the way how you have to look at things. AI is going to be an assistant, a friend for everyone, whoever is working in any industry for that matter. Of course, logistics as well, because we are talking about logistics, but it has to be seen as a complementing factor, not as a threat, which will just help you to put your output higher and higher.
That's what your view is, but as editors we are also thinking whether AI would actually replace us. You also mentioned about tracking. So when a ship is in the seas, how do you ensure that actually that entire journey it is tracked, because then we have other issues also coming in, some attacks happening or something. In that scenario, how difficult it becomes to and make it easy for the freight forwarder as well as for the shipper, that the consignment is going on safely.
See, once the goods or the container or any packages, be it ocean or air, are loaded on a vessel or an airline, to be very honest, the freight forwarder has no control anymore. He's dependent on this service provider, be it a Maersk, be it Air India, be it Lufthansa, whatever, whatever the mode of the transport he's chosen. The only thing which we are helping freight forwarders do is at least give visibility first internally to their own team, because many of the freight forwarders have customer service teams who will be getting the calls from these shippers or these agents whom they are working with, or any person who's concerned about where my cargo is. First and foremost, the freight forwarders need clarity internally to their team. Second is how then they can give the visibility to their customer. Because once, as I said, once the cargo is loaded on a ship, now if it is being attacked, freight forwarder has no way to stop that. He cannot, suddenly take another boat and go to the middle of the seas and try to protect the cargo which he is bound to send.
He can't become a Shaktiman.
Exactly, you just cannot do that. But what you can do is give visibility. First to your internal teams and second to your customers, and the customer is getting demanding. At the same time, the customer also understands that this is not in control of my freight forwarder. But if the customer knows that, okay, it was supposed to reach on Tuesday, now it will reach on Friday. But if this communication was sent to the customer by, let's say, Sunday or Saturday, then the customer is having the visibility, okay, sure, I am happy that I am being informed. If I am not being informed is a problem. So visibility, even though the freight forwarder doesn't have any control over it in terms of managing the vessel, but has the control of making it aware to the person who is asking about it, and that too proactively, and not just when the opposite party calls and then responding, okay, let me go and check. No, a proactive approach is always appreciated. So long answer short, freight forwarders do not have any control, but what they can control is the information which can be shared with the end customer.
And when it comes to road transportation, that I think so that would be probably much easier.
That is easier, but then road also has their own challenges. Of course, if I sit with a transport heavy logistics service provider, I am sure they will have their own pain points to be discussed. But yes, once the goods are coming on a port and they need to reach to the end point, which is the last mile, there is a little bit of better control. But now it also depends whether that freight forwarder owns those vehicles or have they leased out, whether the driver is their own, whether the driver is their leased a fleet driver. So very honestly, every leg has their own challenges. It's just that how you can keep your customer informed and how you can keep your internal team informed so that there are no surprises.
This is about the tracking. Also, when it comes to warehouses, so we have a few warehouse management, inventory management systems in place. How important is intralogistics or integrating the entire system for a better visibility?
Right. I think we've seen that transitions happen even in our customer base. We have a customer who started as a custom broker, then became a freight forwarder, then started to invest in warehouses, started to buy own trucks, started to probably tomorrow even do last mile delivery. So every logistics service provider is trying to grow. The idea for them also is to not put all their eggs in one basket, right? Having one integrated system just helps in better management, all of those things. So if the goods are coming in, the goods are then getting on a ship, then going ahead. So you need to have a warehouse. You need to have a land transport facility to bring it from the manufacturing hub to your warehouse. Then you need your freight forwarding capabilities to make sure that you're able to book the space on the shipping line or the airline. Then you need to also make sure that you have an agent, a reliable agent on the opposite end to handle the delivery of that. I think having an integrated system just helps the companies to have all the information on one screen. And that is exactly what Logicis does. The idea with Logicis is very simple. The customer should not have to go out of the system to do anything. Our aim is that, but there are certain things which they have to end up doing out of the system, which can also be integrated within the system. So today our system is completely integration friendly, but of course integration attracts a lot of cost, and then it's the call of the freight forwarding company whether they want to invest that amount of cost or not. But the system is ready, and having one system, be it my system or some other system, but having one system helps these logistics service providers to be better resilient to anything going wrong. Because if they have multiple systems, they might not know what went wrong there, and they might just know what went wrong here, and there's always a gap. So having one integrated system just mitigates and makes you more resilient, I feel.
Your focus has been on freight forwarding companies. Shipping lines are also trying to become freight forwarders to some extent. Are they also your clients, or is that like a clash of interest that would be?
No, as of now, we do not have any shipping line as a freight forwarder as my customer. But very honestly, this has happened in the past as well. Companies like Maersk have started freight forwarding companies in different names so that, they maintain their, whatever they want to maintain, a kind of a gray screen between them and their end customers who are also a freight forwarder. But hey, listen, I mean, this is going to happen. Everyone is trying to step on someone's toes, and that's competition. And I feel competition is healthy. But at the same time, the customer base which we serve, especially the small, medium, large freight forwarders, we also serve some of the MNC freight forwarders like Nippon Express and KWA and all of those companies. But the entire game is about relationship. Today, why a medium to large freight forwarder, who is not a shipping line, of course, are doing so well is purely because they have the power of relationship. They have the power to make sure that they are available. Their customers also know that when I call my logistics service provider, I'm just not going to be passed around, and I can reach to the right person, and I can escalate to the owner of the company as well if need be. So the pure, I would say, concept on how this business has been built, which is relationships, play a very important role. So shipping lines can definitely try and do what they want because they have endless resources. That is what all my customers would also say, that they have endless resources. They can today decide to become a freight forwarder. They can decide to become, for that matter, they can start even a manufacturing plant of something. They have endless resources. They have a lot of money. Like, for example, I had read during COVID, because when these shipping lines made a lot of money, one of the shipping line, I won't name, went out and bought a media company. So they really don't know what to do with the money, to be very honest. But this is competition. It will happen. But then these freight forwarders have to stick to their basics, and they need to stick to the power of relationship, which I feel has helped us as well as a tech company to the freight forwarders. Relationship is everything, and on that you can not only sustain the business, but you can tremendously grow the business as well.
You mentioned that Logicis is something that you got into the business, and how has that progress been, and what's new in it? What new can we see?
My whole point was growth, right? As a chief growth officer, my responsibility is to making sure that we're doing something great. Okay, we are headquartered in India. We've been here for almost about 34 years. How can we now take what we've done here, not only grow it within India, but also grow it internationally? So one of my key agenda of coming into this role was to make sure that I represent our company on the global front and try and bring in customers globally, India as well, be very prompt with our customer service, make sure that we are listening to our customers. Globally, there are only 2 to 3 companies who are making an end-to-end system for the logistics service providers. In India, I am number 1. Globally, I might be number 2. But there are only limited companies doing that. How can we do it differently is the game. Me being approachable, my company being a company who does listen to their customers, having a great product, a more technologically advanced product. Like our competitors have not explored AI yet, and we've already integrated a lot of AI related innovations within the system. AI is something which I cannot show. AI is how within the system things can be automated. So we are already doing that. So one of the key important things for me was to have the right people do the right work within the company, have a strong marketing being done, so that we've always been a company who has been flying under the radar. But now that we know that we are doing a great work, why don't we show it to the world? And of course, try and have new customers on board by showing them what we are doing and by gaining that trust. For me, it is very important that the customer who is coming on board is getting in with us with complete visibility, complete analysis. And I even tell my prospects that, hey, listen, go and see products outside as well, do the apple to apple comparison, and then you would know what kind of service we are doing. So it's that part of the thing. So yeah, it's growth, and growth has a lot of aspects attached to it.
Every day we are having new technology coming in. Every day AI is changing.
Right.
And ChatGPT itself is evolving. We have other countries also coming up with some or the other such systems in place. How difficult does that become to keep up with that entire technology? Obviously, getting more clients is one challenge, and then keeping up with that the pace of changing technology. How difficult it is, or how quick is it?
The simplest thing what you can do in my position is keep your eyes and ears open. Keep reading and keep gaining the knowledge, and have the right teams to also bring the right kind of feedback to you. So for example, of course, Logicis is a huge system. So we have a huge development team who is maintaining the system, bringing in the new features within the system. But we also have a very specific team called Logi Labs, which is doing nothing but R&D. And their work is to go out there, understand the industry, and they're tech guys. These are tech guys who have worked on all sorts of newer technology, and my role or my father's role is to just bring them a problem statement and throw it to them and tell them to build something. So having the right investment done in the right teams is very important, and this is the team which keeps us aware of what's happening, what are the new tools which they can leverage on, how they can do things differently, what existing application is doing, or what is happening currently within the system. And they become the eyes and the ears, and they bring in the ideas. So it's always a two-way street. It cannot be that I go out there and I see something and I come and tell my team. It has to be from them as well. So my Logi Labs team or my development team, the simple instruction is, or my product team for that matter, the simple instruction is keep your eyes and ears open. Whatever said and done, we need to be ahead in terms of technology, otherwise we'll perish. As a tech company, that's my first promise to my customers, that I will keep you ahead when it comes to technology. And customers also, to be very honest, play a very important role, because even the customers become my eyes and the ears on the ground. Exactly, because let's be real, these are the people who are on the ground and who know what the real pain points are, what the real problems are, what they are seeing when they're talking to their peers. And when they bring in the ideas, I shouldn't be a company who shut them down. I should be a company who listen to them, goes back to my drawing board and enhances that idea and bring them a much more refined version, because that is the reason why my customers are with me, why they trust me. And that's how I think you can keep yourself ahead in terms of technology. It simply cannot be that I keep reading or my father keeps reading and give it to the team. It has to be a collective effort, and everyone in my team has that right to come and bring in a new idea. So that is very important if you have to stay ahead when it comes to technology.
Absolutely. So you're the Chief Growth Officer. Next 5 years, you already mentioned that Softlink is the number one. What's the next achievement that you want?
See, the most important thing which I've learned from my father is growth has to be sustainable. Okay. I do not want to bite more than I can chew. That's one most important thing which I have learned from him, and I believe in it as well. The next 5 years are going to be sustainable growth. Of course, we have to keep on enhancing the product, keep on bringing the new features, keep on bringing the AI-backed tools within the application. Just keep doing the good work for our customers. And this industry, one thing which I've realized is a very niche industry. People's word of mouth is the most important, and that is exactly how Softlink has grown over the last 34 years. So if we keep on doing the right things and we keep on deploying the right tools which we have, the customers are going to be our biggest supporters. Our customers are going to be our cheerleaders. Okay. And that is the aim for the next 5 years. Keep delivering on our promise, keep bringing in, of course, the new customers, and let me be bold, why not become the number one company in the world? And I don't think so that is something which is impossible, because if you are doing the right things, if you play your cards right, you can very well reach at that level. And to be very honest, I have some customers who actually want me to be seen there. So that brings in a lot of vote of confidence. I have many customers who have now turned friends. I call them friends, and they want an Indian company to be out there, be the number one company in the world when it comes to logistics technology. That's exactly what we're aiming for in the next 5 years, 5 to 10 years. I don't make short-term plans. It has to be a long-term plan.
As a young entrepreneur, if I may ask, what would be your advice to the logistics industry? Those who are also seeking to come into, and I've seen many young generation not getting into the hardcore business, but the technology part of it, they want to explore that.
Right.
So what would be your advice?
Very honestly, I am not in a position to advise because I'm still learning, to be very honest. But a few observations which I would like to state it out there. Be open to change. Okay, that's one. Because change is inevitable. So you have to be open to change. Second, if you're having a lot of resistance within your team, bring that change about. That is one of the most important tasks for you as a second generation or any person coming into this industry. Let's focus on the second generation for the first half of my response. Make that change happen. You might have to take some bold steps. You might have to make few people upset, few of those old dogs who are there in the company. But hey, I've gone through that. And if you have a great working relationship with everyone in the company, and that's what I did when I came in. I have directors who have attended my first birthday. Can you imagine? And now I am working with them day in, day out. So if you have that camaraderie with them, things will be amazing. Things will be amazing, and they also see that it's just not that you're trying to just throw your weight around, but you actually want to achieve something. And when that alignment happens, that's the beauty about it. And I think third is just keep seeking knowledge, because no matter what, even if you talk to the person who has completed 60 years in this industry or the person who has completed 1 year in the industry, the 60-year person would always tell you that, listen, I still don't know half of it. So don't ever think that you know everything. Just be open to each and every aspect, each and every conversation which you end up having with someone from the industry. They're going to teach you something new which you don't know. So being open to knowledge, being open to something which you don't know, or to try and seek knowledge is very important. So I think these three things are my observations for anyone, any second generation coming in, any new person joining the industry, because logistics, in my opinion, represents a very, very huge part of the world economy. Forget India.
Absolutely.
It represents a very, very huge part of the world economy. We realized this during COVID, that if logistics stop, we would have even not got our jabs, our COVID shields and all of those vaccines. So logistics, no matter what, even if there is a war in the country, you need logistics. Even if there is prosperity in the country, you need logistics. So logistics never stops. And I'm happy to see that there are a lot of new generation people or young people who want to be part of this industry, and that has to never stop.
So basically, logistics got the entire spotlight. It
Yeah.
was obviously after COVID that the word logistics was absolutely talked about.
Correct.
Or else it was logistics was all about trucks.
I'll
And
tell you
godowns.
exactly. So I have some great friends in the industry, okay, and I keep chatting with them, and they have been in the pre-COVID area, pre-COVID time and post-COVID. So one gentleman who's a dear friend told me that, yeah, Kunal, when I used to say to any of my friends that I'm into logistics, the first reply used to be, "Oh, trucking company. Oh, you have trucks." That used to be the
Yeah,
most common
absolutely.
thing. And now it has changed dramatically. Still, many people don't understand the nuances of what a freight forwarder is. So I always try to explain, even to my friends when they ask, okay, you are a software company, but for whom do you make the software? So I have to break it down for them, who is a freight forwarder,
Right.
So there are a lot of nuances in this entire industry which the general public is not aware of. But listen, this is the industry which is making sure that even your food is getting delivered in 10 minutes, or your Amazon order is getting delivered in whatever time they are promising you at, or for that matter, whatever medicines you are taking is coming on one ship or one aircraft, which is not where passengers are flying. Of course, it could be where passengers are also flying, but it could be a pure freighter as well. So there are a lot of nuances which people don't know about. But this industry represents a very, very, very critical part of the entire world economy.
So you're at the time when the industry is growing, India is growing. So at the right time, I would say.
Yes, and very, very aptly put, because post-COVID, this industry has tremendously changed. This is an observation which my father told me, that he has never seen so much of the second gen come into the logistics industry, because he's been part of the industry, been part of the fabric since 1992. He's now seeing the involvement of second gen very, very highly, which is a good thing for the industry, because if you don't have a succession plan, then either you have to go in for, external management, hire a CEO and a COO, and go through that journey. Or if you have a succession plan, if you have a second generation interested, it makes it a little bit more easier, because as they say, it's there always in the blood.
Absolutely. And also the kind of education that we have currently. And earlier it used to be like after your 10th standard, it's either commerce, science. Now the avenues have opened up in such a way that you can explore many things.
Yes.
So
Specialized courses for supply chain, specialized courses for logistics, I have seen so many of students approach us saying that why don't you create a course? So eventually we also have established Softlink Academy to make sure that we can contribute on that front as well with our Logicis certification programs, with our Logicis export programs. In the end, you need to also make sure that contribute to the growth of the pie. You cannot just wait for the pie to grow and then have the piece from it. You also have to make sure that you're enabling the growth of the pie. So so that's what we have been doing.
Thank you very much for coming to our studio and giving us your precious time. Thank you.
No, it was my pleasure, and it was such amazing conversation, and thank you for having me. Really appreciate it.